Welcome to the Bayou Ballers podcast, man. Sunday, Saints lose to the Philadelphia Eagles 15-12. This is our first live post-game recap. Um, I'm your host, Tay, my other guy over there, man, Trey. We was talking a little bit pregame, but before we get not pregame, I guess before the pod started live, but before we get into how you feeling, Trey, bro?
Man, I'm mad, bro. Like, look, we talked about this. We talked about in the first three, the Saints ended up splitting some way between the two NFC East opponents.
Yep.
So, but at the same time, man, when you have games that you really should win, I mean, Eagles gave us every opportunity to blow this game out the water, and I
Yes.
felt like initially the offense. I think
They-
that, like I don't know why, like you paying Derek Carr this money, man. Like you gotta let him go, and we're having success. At
Mhm,
least 12 is for the most part.
mhm.
You just gotta let him go. Just gotta let him play.
You think
And
they
I felt like
played
with
it?
the offensive line injuries, we
Mhm.
got timid. It was like, well, we just gotta run the ball and get out of here. We got a
I was just
3-point
about to.
lead.
I
Let's
was
run
just
the
about to
ball
ask
and get
you
out
that.
of here.
I was just about to
And
ask you that.
and it was shades of that. Like people was like, man, is Pete Carmichael back in the building? And and it wasn't really so much because of the play calling in the
Right.
sense of what we were running. It was being timid and
Mhm.
being, just like, oh, we just doing enough to get by, doing enough to play the field position game.
You know what I
When you
think?
know a team that talented, right? We know what the Eagles are. They're a talented team.
Right.
You can't keep them around. And you kept
Mhm.
them around. It started clicking a little bit in the second half, mainly because of some things I think we were doing defensively. We were just talking about it. Like they only killing you in man to man. They only
Exactly.
like Jalen he would literally make one read.
Yep.
If it wasn't there, he was looking to run.
Mhm.
That was it.
And
But
what I have to say about it is, and once again, if y'all tuning in on Twitter, y'all gotta drop y'all comments and anything. It's YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that. But what I seen, if we gonna talk about the offense, what the, like you said, are we seeing Pete Carmichael, the tweets was coming back, things like that. I was in when I felt when we had 3-0, Dennis Allen adjusted to Nick Sirianni. Oh, he's gonna go for it on fourth down. So we like, oh, all right. All we got to do is stop them from getting a touchdown because obviously they're not interested in field goals.
mm-hmm.
Um, so we kept playing safe and running the ball, and we only wanted to score after Saquon Barkley scored. That's when we started getting more aggressive when we had to score. When we was up 3-0, they like, oh, okay, this type of game is fine. We cool with that. But he got outside his game when it was 4th and 1, and we rushed one come out. That was a first down, by the way. I'm gonna have to say that. That was a
Yeah,
first down.
same.
But he got aggressive
But,
on that, and we didn't get it when that could have been a
bro,
field goal. I'm not gonna cry
bro,
about that because I wanted the 7 anyway. But
yeah,
Kamara reached the ball out. If you
bro,
saw in the replay, he stuck his elbow out and it was a
yeah,
first.
bro. Do you
So
realize it took to that possession you talking about where we finally tried to open the offense up?
yes.
It took to that possession for us to attack Zach Bond in coverage.
Ma-
Like, are you serious? Like, this is a guy. Like, look, I don't know. I mean, everybody got their opinion on if Da is involved in the offensive scheme. But
Mhm.
if he's not, I'm like, this is the game to get involved. Like, hey, I watch this dude every day in damn practice. Ain't
But
no way he just gonna get off scotch free. We
is that
every
is
play,
Is
whether
that good
it's
or bad
whether
though that he watched up every
look,
time and didn't let that man on the field? Because
look,
Zach Bond had a good game. He's not
he
a
had a
cover
good
player,
game.
but he had a good game. But as you seen, the first time we attacked him, Kamara caught the ball, and I should say that was good coverage though. That was
It
good
was.
coverage.
I give him
But
credit.
we shouldn't wait 4 quarters to attack their basically spy linebacker for doing
Mm-hmm.
quarterbacks and a third down
Yeah,
pass rusher. He had a great game. I like Zach Bond. But me and you both rooted for him when he was with the Saints. He just
yeah,
didn't get the PT. But let's get to the overall scope of the game.
yeah,
Um, I want to get your points on because all everything's coming out right now. Everybody overreacting because this
yeah,
game should have been won by the Saints. I think
yes,
everybody agreed to that. That's why most people are mad. But
yeah.
what's your thoughts on, I should say, the offensive rhythm? We touched on it a little bit, but let's go into the fourth quarter because that's when everything got the humming on both
Yeah.
sides. Everybody got more aggressive. It's time to win the
hmm
game. What was your thoughts in the fourth quarter of the offense?
Man, I think for starters is if we and let's look at our first two games of the year. We
Okay.
weren't really doing much spectacular things on offense. We just
Mhm.
hit on a lot of big plays.
Right.
And I felt like they went into it of we're just gonna do the same old, same old. We're gonna try to establish the run. We're gonna try to, attack them deep because in their secondary on play action, maybe
What
get
do
the
you hold
screen
on,
game in. Hmm?
before you continue, what do you mean we ain't do nothing, like, special? Because,
It
I
was
would say
it
this though.
was it was
Go ahead.
zone scheme run game, right?
Okay.
So a zone scheme run game. We're moving defenders out of the way on the
Mhm.
defensive line. Our running backs are able to get to the second and third levels of the defense.
Mhm.
And then we are hitting them above the top with
Right.
Shaheed.
And we had
That
that
was
chance
really
today.
it.
He
It
missed
wasn't
they hit it.
it it wasn't like we were running a complex offensive scheme, especially in terms of getting the wide receivers involved. And I
Mhm.
think one of the reasons why Olave did really well was because we needed someone that's a true route runner that can get open. We just needed a wide receiver to be a wide receiver and not have the flash pan and everything that we had the first couple of weeks, which
Right.
two touchdowns, Shaheed, that you're supposed to have that. Two
Right.
touchdowns you miss.
Mhm.
So I felt like that was just kind of the overall scheme.
Mhm.
And
Let me
then
ask
when
you,
you go ahead.
I wanted to ask you this. What the do you feel the creativity was there? Because the first 2 weeks we saw Olave in the backfield, we
Hmm.
saw Shaheed in the backfield, we saw some wide
Hmm.
receiver jet sweeps, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, do you feel the creativity was there this game against Philly?
I thought it was early on.
Mhm.
And then I felt like after the injuries, we just got extremely vanilla of
Right.
we're just gonna
Everyone
run your,
started
your
going out.
simple toss and zone read concepts.
Yes.
We'll go for the big play. If we have it, we have it. If we don't, Derek either try to go get 3 or 4 yards running the ball or throw it in the dirt.
Mhm.
That's essentially what it ended up becoming. And look, we know we don't have a third wide receiver, so to speak. That's just
At
kind of a
all. At
whoever
all.
gets in. And apparently A.T. Perry was feeling under the weather today,
Mhm.
but no more healthy scratches if that's a thing. Like
Mhm.
he's gonna
I,
have
I
to see
will
the field.
I will say this about that third receiver spot. Taysom Hill fills a lot of roles for the Saints
We missed
team.
them. We
We
missed
missed
them.
them bad in the backfield, in a receiver spot, and a wildcat on short yardage on plays.
Hmm.
So I don't know if a 34-year-old is Taysom Hill 34,
He's
33
about
year
30,
old.
34. Or he'll be
I don't know if a
34 if he's not
34-year-old
already.
player should have that effect on a team if he misses a
Hmm.
game. Who's what people like to say gadget player who plays a lot of positions. I don't know if he should have that big of effect on the offense
Hmm.
if he misses. But it was a real problem not having him in the game, and that third receiver spot is a real hole for the Saints. And I think the two biggest holes for the Saints getting a little bit off, but needs. My problem with their defensive line not consistently enough. I think
Yeah.
Carl Granderson been great. Chase Young here and there, but they was decent this game. They wasn't horrible.
Hmm.
But the second safety spot outside of Tyrann Matthews and that third receiver spot needs to be addressed. And it's hard to address it in the season, so you got to roll what you roll with. Jordan Howden's second season, Will Harris, he's okay. He's an okay player. Made some plays in the first couple of weeks, but when we're in a tight game and we face a little bit of adversity and
Hmm.
plays matter, we see the guys who need to be on the field and who can be on the field and understand the assignment. So I think those two positions are, need to be
Yeah.
addressed. What's your
And you
thoughts
know
on?
what? And I think this, man, look, this was a game where I felt like you needed to lean on Derek Carr. And look, he made some really good throws throughout the game. I think he made some
Right.
bad throws, like the last one, where yes,
Yeah,
pressure is in your face,
right.
but
You
we
don't just
go
throw
back
it
to
up
technique. You can't throw off your back foot in this league. You
in the
can't.
middle of the field too,
In the
right?
middle of the field, like it doesn't matter who you are. You can be
Right,
Patrick Mahomes. Like you can't.
right,
Like the hits are gonna come.
right.
It's gonna come regardless. You're gonna get hit. Like throwing off your back foot isn't gonna stop the defender from
Yep,
taking his 2 steps that he's allotted to take to make
and go through
contact with
you.
you. As long as it's not to the head and neck area, they are allowed to make contact with you.
Right.
You got to step into that. At the very least, I think if he steps into that last throw, which
The
shouldn't have been
overthrow.
made, it's probably either an overthrow or
Yeah.
it's going straight to the dirt to
Right.
where it's like, okay, we live to see another day.
Mhm.
But and that's kind of the the negative of Derek Carr sometimes when the pressure gets to him. And we're gonna
Right.
need him to be better, especially if our offensive line is going through this injury patch. Like we don't know, it's a growing injury with McCoy, they say. So
Yes.
those can be crazy. So we don't know
Hmm.
if he's going to be back. Ruiz left late in the game. We
And
don't
he
know what's
struggled.
going on there,
Ruiz
and he
struggled
struggled too.
with them Georgia
So
boys. He struggled a lot this game.
it is
I
what it
want to
is.
I want to ask you this about Derek Carr performance. I feel he
Uh-huh.
didn't get and this goes to Clint Kubiak because we praised Clint Kubiak first 2 weeks,
Yeah.
reinventing the offense, and I like what I see, even though we lost. But I, like you
Mhm.
said, I just thought he was too conservative,
Yeah.
especially with that Philly secondary. I didn't think Derek Carr got enough opportunities to
I agree.
exploit this secondary, and I think Olavi could have feasted this game.
Yeah.
Like when we got aggressive in that fourth quarter, hit him across the middle against Ringo,
Mhm.
touchdown. That could have been consistently like, and I think we just missed the opportunity with that since the
Yeah.
game was so tight and we had 3 points. And I think
Mhm.
he adjusted to the game flow. I don't know if that's all. I don't know if that's the head coach
Yeah.
telling them like settle down. We don't need to hit two because we only had a shot play to Shaheed at the first
Right.
quarter and we missed that. We usually we hit
Mhm.
that the first couple weeks and
Yeah.
we didn't hit it. So that was our first time not hitting that. And they didn't really take a shot after that. So except for the one on the goal line that Shaheed and Slay 50-50
And
ball.
and here's my thing: if you're not going to trust Derek Carr at points to win you the game,
Mm-hmm.
why not put Jay Kane or Spencer Rattler in the game? Like if our whole process is trying to take the ball out of the quarterback's hands as much as possible, run the ball, stabs the run, hit
Mm-hmm.
big plays, you can do that with the two young guys you have on the roster. Like you
Mm-hmm.
brought Derek Carr here, you brought Clint Kubiak here to fix Derek Carr for these moments. And the defense is dictating. It's funny, we was talking about that this week. Somebody was saying, man, this offense is unstoppable. And I was like, well, if it was unstoppable, Kyle Shanahan will have multiple reigns. Like it's a way to stop it.
Right.
And this is the way you get physical. You hurt that run as much as you can
In
and you
early
force
downs.
either the quarterback, like, and then you put it on the head coach to or the offensive play caller to trust the guy at the
To make
quarterback
plays.
position.
Yes.
And we've seen that unless you are John Elway, Peyton Manning, or Matthew Stafford, typically quarterbacks in this system are not trusted. And
Mm-hmm.
so does Derek Carr happen to be one of those guys? And look, I think despite some of the bad throws, obviously the interception, I felt like he should have earned the vote of confidence from the coaching staff to attack this secondary. I
Right.
mean, yeah, he's going to take a few lumps and bruises and things like that, but they couldn't cover anybody. They
They
just couldn't.
can't. They can't. And
Like,
they drafted two quarterbacks back to back. But we just saw what the Falcons did of last week in 1 minute. 6 plays. And granted, they was playing soft, but
mhm,
still that defensive secondary is is suspect. And
yeah,
like we missed that opportunity badly. But also I
mhm,
want to is on that last drive with Derek Carr
yeah,
throwing the interception. Do
mhm,
you think that for Clint Kubiak, since this is the first pressure situation that we had this year, a tight game,
mhm,
Derek Carr, he doesn't even have to go win it. Go get us a field goal. Get us
yeah,
in field goal range. He panics, sees pressure,
yeah.
throws the ball up. Do you think in the future that would affect the play calling for Clint Kubiak when we're down and need something in the fourth quarter?
I mean, I think it almost has to. Like
Mhm.
you have to trust the guys that are out there. And like I get it, everything's not going according to plan. You're dealing with injuries, your quarterback's getting hit. But like you gotta trust them at some point in time
Mhm.
and dial some things up. And I just felt like, when McCoy went down, we just said we just gotta survive
Mhm.
this game. And maybe they're like, we'll survive this game. We'll be ready against Atlanta next weekend. But in this league, especially in the past couple, probably the last 3 years, we can point to games on our schedule, especially against NFC opponents,
Mhm.
games that we should have won, as the reasons being the difference between us getting to the postseason and us not. And
Mhm.
so at some point, you got to stop taking these games lightly. Yes, our division games are important, but it
Mhm.
hasn't been the divisional losses that have kept us out of the playoffs the last 3 years. It's
Yes,
been losses to NFC outside our division opponents. And
exactly.
games we should have won. Like I
Packers,
think there have been some games we should have won. So
Packers and Rams last year are the two
mhm,
games that determined the Saints playoff hopes. We knew we blew the Packers lead last year when Derek Carr went out. And
mhm,
the Rams game was Sean McVay just embarrassed the Saints defense that game.
yeah,
So those was two NFC games. Granted, Tampa Bay lost to Denver this week. They lost
mhm,
20 26-7. So Sean
mhm.
Payton helped the Saints out this year. This week, and the Falcons play later tonight.
Kansas City, yeah,
Chiefs.
they're pretty nice.
Yeah, they play the
Mhm,
Chiefs. So hopefully the Chiefs can get that done for the Saints, and the Saints still stay in first place. I have to ask you about this. Before the season,
mhm.
we thought it was gonna be a running back by committee. Um, Clint Kubiak, it obvious to me that Taysom Hill is running back number 2,
Yes,
and
clearly, yeah.
he's heavily feeding Kamara. And granted, it's
Mhm,
not last year. He's not running a bunch of fullback halfback dives.
mhm,
Even though we get a nice dosage of that, he mixes it up. He gives his tosses. He does the stretches, but he's relying on Kamara and Taysom Hill, I believe,
yeah,
heavily. Jamal Williams gets in sparingly, ran a little bubble screen for him. And basically Jamal Williams in to give Kamara a break at this point. If
mhm.
you look at the game, how do you think that will go moving forward with this backfield? If Kendrick Miller ever gets healthy, do you think he'll
Yeah.
see some playing
I,
time?
I think you will.
Mhm,
And that'll probably lessen the load on Taysom as a running back, so to
mhm.
speak. But here's my thing: if you have Jamal Williams on your roster and you can't trust him, you can't
Right.
put him on the field in third and fourth and short situations. Why is he on
Short
the
yard.
roster?
Exactly.
I
That's
mean, like
like
that's his thing. When we talk about him leading the league in touchdowns when he was with the Detroit Lions, it wasn't no 25, 30-yard runs. And
right.
it's kind of in the same, system in a way, but how Ben Johnson runs his offense. He got his stuff in short yardage. That's
Right.
why we brought him. So you wouldn't have to utilize an Alvin Kamara as much as you did in short yardage situations. You wouldn't have to use a Taysom Hill as
Mhm.
often as you did in short yardage situations. And so in that 4th and 1, like we said, I believe Alvin got it too. But
Mhm. Still,
I
that's what Jamal
mean,
Williams is
that's
there.
what
And
Jamal Williams is there for.
And
So
the third and one on the Wildcat play
yes.
that we did with Kamara. Jamal Williams is there for a reason. We begged for this last year for Taysom Hill and short yardage situations that Jamal Williams. Like,
Mhm.
why are we using? I know Kamara he bounces off tackle, he break a tackle, and he made a great second effort when Barnes stopped him at
Mhm.
the line of scrimmage. But
Mhm.
like it's really come back to the point that you said. Why is Jamal Williams on the roster? If he's not a receiver,
Yeah.
if he's in there to give Kamara a break, basically every 7 down, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think if you're gonna just keep him on that for that, give Kamara breathers, just find
Mhm.
another place for him, grab a little late round pick or whatever you can
Yeah.
for him. But let's we talked about the offense. Let's flip over to the
Yeah.
defensive side of the ball because the defense, I think this was a game where the defense can fool you.
Mhm.
Because I think they were solid, not great, not
Yeah.
bad, but and on third down they didn't
Yeah.
get enough pressure, and they gave up too many plays on third
Mhm.
down when drives supposed to be
Yeah.
stopped. Before the half, when it was like 2 minutes and the
Mhm.
Eagles stopped started on a 7 yard line, something like that,
Yeah.
and drove the ball all the way down the field, and Nick Sirianni went for it on foot and didn't get any points.
And
The
build us
Eagles
out.
did
Yeah.
the Eagles did the Saints a lot of favors this game, but how would your output on the Saints defense?
Yeah, man. And you know what? And I was talking with people on Twitter, like, man, how could you blame the defense or anything like that? And I was like, here's the thing: the strength of the team is always going to get the blame or the
Yes.
lion's share of the blame. And I
Mhm.
would do this during the Breeze prime years where it's like, man, this defense is bad. And it's like, yeah, but they gotta stop when they need to make it stop. They put the ball in the offense's hands. The offense didn't get it done.
Bruh.
So we can talk about how as bad as our offense was doing today and
Mhm.
fighting through the injuries that they had, they
Yes.
put points on the board.
When they
They
needed to.
gave you a lead with 2 minutes left in the game. You have to protect that.
Yes.
And look, the score is going to make it seem like we were just dominating the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mhm.
No, they were able to move the ball quite a bit on us.
Yes,
They
but
did their coach was trying to give us the game. It wasn't the guys on the field. The
yes.
coach trying to give us the game. These guys were getting in position to get points at the very least, whether it was touchdowns or field goals. They were driving the ball on us. So
Right.
this notion that our defense was just phenomenal, like they were the 2000 Ravens or something, that's just crazy. The
Yeah.
score makes it seem like that, but go look at the yardage total. I bet you it looks a whole lot different than
Yes.
what we assume. See, the Eagles, they made it tough on us.
Mhm.
We had less than 100 yards of total offense midway through the third quarter.
And you know
They made
why?
it tough on us.
You know why that is? We didn't have the ball a lot.
We didn't have the ball. We didn't have
We
the
didn't have
ball.
the ball. That they
I think
they
what the
controlled.
second quarter they had the ball 11 minutes or something like
Yep.
that. 11,
It was
12 minutes.
basically the whole, and that's because the sakes, when we don't get positive yards as we see on first down,
Mm-hmm.
and we rely more on the passing game and Derek Carr, that
Yeah.
offense gets a little bit tougher when you don't get those 5-6 yards on that running play on first down,
Yeah.
in this
Mm-hmm.
wide zone running
Yeah.
offense. One thing I want to say about what you say about that defense,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people say that like you can't blame the defense. My point is, I'm not gonna give a defense all of the credit when they're holding the team. Mind you, Philly, I tweeted this. The defense were bending, but they wasn't breaking. Tyron
Right.
made up for that play where Dallas got to beat him and he got an interception.
Mm-hmm.
Grandison got the strip sack. But when when it's time to win the game and you give up that play, that
Mm-hmm.
cancels out the rest for me. Like
It
that
does.
doesn't.
It
I
has
don't
to.
want to hear. I don't want to hear. Oh, they tied it. They've been getting it all game. They've been holding the offense up all game. No, the offense went scored when you needed them to score. They didn't get the 3. I asked for the 7, but they got a 6.
Yeah.
So when it's time, you get Brian Bazee comes over with a big sack.
Yeah.
Third and 16. Third and 16.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Like, we're not asking for, you can't give up a 50-yard
And bro.
play and not a
And bro.
50-yard bomb. It's a 50-yard, it's
On a
45
shallow
yard.
throw.
Nobody touched them. Yes, it
And,
run
and
after catch.
and here's
Nothing.
the thing, bro. That's a coaching failure.
Man.
Like we can look at the execution part of it and say, "Oh, well, the players messed up. They ran to each other."
Right.
That's a coaching failure. This quarterback has not been able to beat you
Break it
outside
down.
of
Be
some
specific.
plays that have come out in man-to-man coverage.
And you talking
Third
about
and
Jalen Hurts. You talking
16,
about Jalen Hurts.
yes.
All right.
Third and 16, you have to show me one.
Mm-hmm.
Your offensive line can hold up long enough for you to find somebody in zone coverage. And
Yes.
you got to show me something you haven't shown me all game, that you have the capability as an NFL quarterback to scan the field and break the zone. You haven't
Mm-hmm.
shown me that all night. But what you have shown me is, well, if they're going to play man-to-man coverage, I'm just going to
Hit that
throw a
slant. Hit
little,
the
throw a
thing.
little slant, throw a shallow cross, get the ball out, let my athletes win. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
they did. And we let them off the hook. So
Yes.
when it's like, oh, how you going to blame DA? He's the head coach and he's the head defensive play caller. And all game long, when in situations, when we went man to man, Philly was able to pick it up, whether it was Jalen finding some of those short routes and then being
Never,
able to get
never
the
was
first down
nothing
or move
too
the chains, or him
right.
running.
Never was nothing too devastating, but it was positive plays on the
Yes.
Philly end when we
Yes.
made man to man. And I want to say this: if we're
Mm-hmm.
playing man to man on 3rd and 16, and we bring in no pressure, like why
And you
are we
rushed
doing
forward.
this?
And you rushed forward.
Like why are we playing man to man, 2 man under basically?
Yes.
And you're not rushing nobody on 3rd and 16. We
Like at
haven't been
least
getting
blitz him.
consistent. We haven't been getting consistent pressure. We got erratic pressure here and there. In
Yeah.
our defensive ends, we have to keep our contained against these dual threat quarterbacks. Now I would say this: we did better than what we usually do with dual
I
threat
agree.
quarterbacks.
I agree.
We didn't give up nothing too big outside of that Jalen Hurts like 20-yard gain, where he scrambled
Mm-hmm.
out a little bit and he danced through the middle of the field. We did pretty good on that, not missing tackles, finishing plays, finishing sacks. But when the game is on the line, that's when it counts the most, because that's more than likely or not that is playoff football right there.
Yeah.
Games are gonna be tight. Games are gonna be close. It's like NBA, NFL. When the playoffs come,
Yeah.
everything is tight and plays matter. So that was a
Hmm.
big letdown for Dennis Allen on that third down call. Bad. That was
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Hmm.
Um, and icing on the cake was the interception. But let's
Right.
talk about this. Who was your let's try to bring a little positivity to the game. I know
Hmm.
thank y'all for viewing on Twitter. We got 15 people in here right now watching.
Nice. Nice.
Um but who was your standout player on the defensive end of the football this game?
On the defensive side, I think Brian Brzee,
Okay.
a boy, high take Tabor, he was saying, "Hey man, eventually 90 got to finish these plays," and
Right.
he finished today.
He
He
did.
was able to get to Jalen Hurts when we were able to force Jalen to step into the pocket as opposed to getting out. And
Thank you,
and 90
Grandison.
was there.
That
And
was
90 was there
Grandison.
to make the plays.
Hmm.
So I want to get him and Grando. I can do both of them. I mean, obviously you'd want to say Tyrann Mathieu played
Yeah.
well too, but I
Yeah.
think he was on the end of some
Hmm.
negative plays from a defensive
Yeah. You're right.
standpoint too. So I want to give credit to the defensive line because look, there's a lot of stuff made about Chase Young, and
Yep.
and I think there was maybe a level of delusion of what our defensive line would be, but they're much better. I will give them that, but we still can't totally rely on them without either bringing 5 or 6 guys on a
Right.
blitz or having to run stunts
Hmm.
to get pressure on the quarterback. Eventually, in these stages, if we're supposed to be the team we want to be and move forward, you got to trust guys to hold up in coverage. I mean, is it a stupid play call to go man to man 3rd and 16? Yes.
But
But
it has to be
one
executed.
of the things you hope as a defensive coordinator or in the play call on that side is that you're about to get interior pressure to where it's difficult. Because again, if you look at what Jordan Howden's path was, the diagnosis was we know he's going to the tight end, we know he's going short, so we
Yeah.
want you to cut that off. Well, that throw is a whole lot different if he's getting some pressure, interior pressure, or he's
Yes.
feeling the pocket collapsing on him quickly.
Exactly. I'll say this
So
about that. I'll say this about that play before you continue though.
yeah,
The thing I saw when Jordan Howden was coming down, I saw him take like
the worst angle.
the thank you the under angle. Why are you going
He
under? That reason, even if he catches the ball, he's running away from you.
is
Go over
right.
the defender. So if he
Is he
catches, he turns to you.
right?
Granted, seven
So
7 yards, we're fine with that. And about the pressure on that play, it was 2 seconds. Jalen Hurts caught Hut. He saw got us cross his face and just throw it. We didn't give him a chance.
and
Like we didn't know if the
and
execution of
that's
the
the
play would
thing,
be
man.
great.
It's like what? And I always like even if you're going to play like if you're going to take that gamble. And my dad, who's a coach, he always talks about this. If you're gonna
Okay.
play man to man coverage, you can't let the guys run free. Like if you don't put your hands on somebody, you are begging to have the ball caught on you.
Yep. You better gonna
Like
let
if
somebody run right past you or run right across you. Either
we're
way.
gonna put Will Harris down there, bro. You have 5 yards to do whatever you want to do, as long as you don't hit them in the face. 5 yards to
Man,
do whatever you want to do.
man.
So
Reminiscent of the George Kittle play. I told you that
yeah,
before the show.
yeah.
Now, we're 2-1 now. Saints are 2-1. This was your prediction either way. You predicted before the we both predicted 11 wins on our second prediction. We both landed at 10 on a
I
July
stayed at
prediction.
10 and you went to 11.
Oh, you stayed at 10. Okay, so
Yeah.
I predicted we lose to the Cowboys before the season, and I predicted we beat Philly. Flip flop.
Hmm.
You predicted we beat the Cowboys and lose to Philly. Both
Hmm.
of us at 2-1. We basically predicted that. Um, I don't want to move ahead too fast because the Falcons still have their game, but I do
Hmm.
want to ask you, what are some things you would like to see improve, that you saw from this game that need to be addressed?
On the defensive side of the ball, I think we have to find a way to generate more pressure without
Mhm,
having to blitz.
mhm.
Um,
Story of my life the
because
last 3
Kirk
years.
and look, we of course we might get a little lucky because Kirk is stationary right now.
Yes,
And he was never known for a guy to really get out of the pocket either. But he's also a guy that we struggled against in the
we have.
past because he's been able to get the ball where it needs to go, especially versus man coverage.
Kurt
So,
will air it out, bro.
so I think one, we need to be able to generate pressure. We're going to have to generate pressure from the interior. Not sure what Colin Saunders is going on. Like I'm hoping he'll be ready
Yeah, he was right.
by this game because he's been out with that calf injury, and so
Mm-hmm.
I think adding him with Brazil can help with that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get that interior pressure, then that allows guys like Chase Young and Grando on the outside to be able to collapse against a guy like Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not getting that interior pressure and he's able to step into the pocket, it's going to make things difficult for your defense. Yes, you have the cornerbacks that can withstand for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
but why should we keep putting them in situations? Obviously, you got to stop the run. You got to stop Bijan Robinson, and we're gonna have to figure out, who has that who has that assignment.
Right, and
Um,
we saw a little bit of our guy Christian Boy today. Made a big hit on took Devontae out the game basically.
yeah, yeah,
Big
they need
hit
to
right
blow the
there.
whistle next time.
They should have,
Yeah.
man. They shut Devontae up on that. But also, I want to say this. Shout out to my guy, Marshawn Lattimore today. Didn't hear too much from him coming back. Tested him one time deep against Devontae, and he held up out there. So
Mhm,
we ain't hear his name called, but he had a great game. From my eyes at least.
mhm,
Debo struggled a little bit this game.
yeah,
But didn't give up nothing big. So one thing I would like to see, my thing with the Saints is always the defensive line. In the last 3 years, I talked
mhm,
about this all off season. So basically, I don't want to beat a dead horse because you just mentioned that. But
yeah,
I would like to see. I would say this by our our not the lineman, our safeties.
mhm,
Um, just better IQ, please. Tyrann Matthew,
yeah,
he's fine. But Will Harris, Jordan Howden, I think one of them has to step up as we face better competition.
mhm,
Um, and I don't know who's gonna hold a spot. Will Harris has been starting, so one of them has to take control of that spot, and hold a grip on it. But I'm gonna be watching those two and see if they can make the plays that need to be made as we
yeah,
continue to play better opponents. And we have
yeah,
a good Falcons offense, a decent Falcons offense. Don't have too many. They don't have explosive wide receivers, but they do have a first round pick in Drake London. They have Pitts and Bijan. So
yeah.
we'll
And we're gonna have
see.
to see how they defend the tight end position.
Yes,
I
because
think.
gotta
I mean, they're going to teams are going to exploit that.
yeah,
I'd
we
rather
got
exploit I'd rather exploit the tight end position as
mhm,
opposed to trusting my wide receivers to hold up against Paulson Adebo, Marshawn Lattimore, and Alante Taylor in coverage. So
right,
they're gonna so if they identify that as the weak point, who's going to step up? Um,
right. We got
is my thing, and I think
Kelsey coming up.
yeah,
So they're gonna have to
and I think on offense, we
mhm,
got to see the offensive line health. I think it's going to be big. Like, will
right.
we be out both McCoy and Ruiz?
That's gonna be
Um,
tough.
that's going to be tough against that Falcons defensive line, which is very much improved.
Mhm,
Um, I too think that their secondary can be had. So I'm interested to see if we just open it up a little bit more.
mhm,
Because again, I just felt like Derek Carr should have been trusted. Now, if you put this trust in him and he messes up again, I know he throws an interception in his last pass of the game,
mhm,
but I like to think that had he had more of an offensive rhythm, especially when he did that second to last drive, being
agreed.
able to get us into to score the touchdown, the go ahead touchdown,
Mhm,
I think it would have been a little bit different.
yeah,
But who knows? We'll see how we plan for this weekend, or next weekend coming up. But it's a big game. It's an NFC opponent. It's an NFC South opponent,
mhm.
and we know. I mean, I think if we're being honest with ourselves, this division is going to go down to the
Today is
last couple of weeks, and
it's
so you
already
got to
started
get it
like
how
that.
you live. I mean, we're almost through the gauntlet, and we're 2-1, which is good.
Yeah.
Atlanta's going through their own gauntlet.
Mhm.
Bucks, they're about to get ready to go through their gauntlet in a little bit.
And they lost
So,
one to Denver. Denver is a very
yep,
beatable team. So
and they got Philly next week. So,
yeah, hopefully Philly can do us that favor. But yeah, we're gonna play Atlanta next week. And I think that's a favorable matchup. There's always a division game, so it's gonna be tough. But I think the Saints are more than formidable to beat the Atlanta Falcons. Then we have the Chiefs the week after. So I think we have 3 games and within 11 or 12 days.
Something
Cause
like
the
that. It has to be
cause the
something like that.
cause it's Sunday. We have the Thursday night game and then another one. I forgot the games, but I was looking at it. I think it's like 12 days, something like that. But yeah, y'all, Saints lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, man, 15-12 in a heartbreaker in the dome. Any last words for the people, Trey, man?
Man, look, it happens. I think you could be upset with losses, as we should be, especially ones that you're supposed to have. Y'all need to figure out something with this ticket situation because there was too much green in the stands as I was watching on my television screen. So y'all need to figure that out.
Man,
Um,
they raised
but
them prices, bruh. After we started
yeah,
winning the first 2 games.
but you know what? I think we saw some good things. I thought we saw some good things from Trevor Penning. I know people didn't like that penalty on him, but I loved it.
I know,
I
man.
mean,
Let
if
him
you're
go.
not going look as a cornerback, if you ain't gonna disengage, I'm not disengaging either.
Right.
So, look, do you want to be smarter? Yes, but that same intensity, you want that too. So I like what some of the growth I saw from some of the young players. I
Hmm.
love what I saw from Chris Olave,
Love it,
being able to step up in those big moments. Like they're going to need him. Like we can
man.
talk about, Shaheed. We can talk about A.T. Perry, or if we're adding the other guys to the mix. But
Right.
when it comes to the success of this passing game, we're going to need to see 12 do a lot more of what he did today.
Hmm.
And I just want to know when we're going to start implementing our tight ends in the mix because we have not.
Man,
And
we are
that
not at all.
and that was something that was supposed to be
Big.
big for us, and something that we were able to see would be a huge difference from Pete Carmichael's system the last couple of years
Yes.
to this year with Clint Kubiak. So you really got three of them when you think about Foster Moreau, Jawan Johnson, and Dylan Hooker, and obviously Taysom when he's in the mix. But
Mhm.
I think if we're going to start attacking the middle of the field the way we need to as well, we got to start seeing our tight ends do a lot more. And we're going to need to see who that wide receiver 3 is. Bro, this was game
Um,
3. Cedric Wilson got his first catch on the year in this
yes.
third
The
game.
the
That's
wide
that's not
receiver
good.
3 is Taysom Hill. Sorry to say, it's Taysom
Yeah.
Hill. And I would love to see more Jawan Johnson because
Mhm.
him and Derek Carr had a connection last year. They did.
Yeah.
Um, but he got a deal for a reason. He's a good tight end. He was a receiver. So
Hmm.
I think we definitely need to figure that out. And Michael Thomas was tweeting a Saints reporter today when he said
Wasn't.
um I think it was Underhill who tweeted the Saints just came up with their biggest stop of the season when we stopped them on 4th and 1 that Saquon brought before the half. And
Hmm.
Michael Thomas did like a correction of the tweet because he missed the word and said it does. So he's watching the Saints while he's
Hmm.
at home. So we'll see, man. He'll be a nice wide receiver 3 in that slot for us to take up the middle of that field. I know y'all don't like MT. A lot of people don't like him because he's a locker room cancer. But he'll fill that void real nice for us as he gets healthy through the season. But this is our first Saints live recap, man. I had to text my boy and be like, ain't no way. Ain't no way, Sway. How? How we lost this game? But this is the Bayou Ballers, y'all, man. We got episodes covered this Wednesday for y'all. Y'all tune in. Um, and my team, the Browns lost, so I'm off the 0-1 on my predictions this week. But see y'all, man. Y'all have a good Sunday.